to my channel. Today I'm going to do the second block for the Lori Holt Be Happy Sew Along. And this is from 2017. I will have a link below to her blog where she details everything, but I just thought it would be fun to share my progress with you. Last week I did the flag block, so I got my star sewn on, so that's all set. Isn't that cute? And this week I'm doing the tulip block. So the fabric requirements are a background fabric of 6.5 by 12.5, blue block 2.5 by 3.5, another blue 2 by 3, an orange 4 by 4, a green 2 by 3, and a different green if you want. I'm using the same color green, 2 by 3. And then you need one strip of orange. It's 1 7/8 by 9 inches, and a green. The green stem for the flower is 5/8 inch by 10. And the last two go into, I use a bias tape maker, and I'll put a link to these below. It's not an affiliate link or anything, but Clover sells them, but these are knockoffs that I found on Amazon. And this was my first time using them, and they were wonderful. So you just have to know what size to cut your fabric. You stick them in your little thing, and then they fold. I don't know, it's magic. They fold them, and then you have a nice stem with finished edges. So you make the stem out of the small one, and then this is going to be the top part of the flower pot there. So I use that. I have my green, which I believe were 2 by 3s. And we're using simple shapes, so these don't have to be exact. So if you have one that's a little longer and you don't want to cut it, that's okay. We don't need exact sizes because we are using the simple shapes to make the applique. Then this is my small blue, so it's around 2 by 3. And then my large blue, which is 2.5 by 3.5. And then 4 by 4 for the flower pot. And I don't know. Probably can't see it. And then I'm just using a white, plain white, 6.5 by 12.5, and that's what I will be appliquing the tulip onto. So I'm going to put that over there for now. So you'll also need a couple other supplies. The So Simple shapes, and the ones that go with this is the Be Happy, and it's Lori Holt. They're her simple shapes, and they're nice little, I don't know if you've ever used them, plastic templates, and they're a nice plastic. They have a little bit of flexibility, and then I mean, you can just do so many. You don't have to just make you can make whatever you want with them. So we have this, which is going to be the pot. Then we have this, which is going to be part, I guess I should tell you, it's D18, D23, and D20. And so your tulip's going to go, you're going to layer your tulip like that, and then it's going to be in a pot, the stem. It's really cute. And then you'll need some interfacing, and I use Lori Holt's interfacing. Her guide gives you all the dimensions of everything you need to cut. I'm using Batiks, which is not typical for Lori Holt quilts, but I just thought it would be a pretty spin. The quilt is adorable. It's mostly applique, but there are some piecing, but it's mostly applique. And the block we're doing today, the tulip block, is all applique. You should have a turning tool. This is Clover's turning tool. And then if you want Sue Daly's glue, and you don't use a lot of this, so this lasts a long time. I don't know that I'll need it today, but, and then I just had a piece of scrap of her interfacing. And then what you do is you take each of your shapes and, you know, usually you cut it out the same measurement as the fabric, but I just had one strip and then, so I didn't feel like cutting it. You're just going to trace with a pencil the outside of the plastic shape. And you won't see, you don't have to worry about seeing the pencil line because it will be in the seam. So there's my pot. Then I have to do, and I'm just going to put a little space in between these. This is D23. This is the underside of the tulip. And then D20. Actually, I can do it this way. And I just do it this way because then I feel like I'm not wasting as much. You like my outfit today? Nice sweatshirt. It's chilly out today. Okay, my shapes are done. Put them aside. And then I'm going to, I had a really cute pair of snips and I don't know what I did with them. I'm just going to cut, I'm going to give myself some space. So I have that left over. Because you're going to put this on your fabric and then sew on the lines. You sew directly on the line. And we'll do the pot first. And you want to use if you have one, an open toe foot. And I do shorten my stitch a little bit because then it's easier to hit the corners on the and stay on the line. Okay, so I'm going to do the flower pot first. Now I'm using Batiks, so there's no right or wrong side. But you want to make sure that your right side is up and you put your interfacing with the design drawn on it on top. So the right side should be touching your interfacing because we're going to sew on it and then flip it. I do put a pin in it. You don't have to, but I do. And then the best way to do it is just to start sewing from the top down to your line and then do a pivot and go around, and then you're going to overstitch the end to set those threads. And then you can do this, you can do it, chain piece it. So again, this is my underside of my tulip. If I had to say this is the top, the right side, then I'm going to put my interfacing on top of it. So the right side is up. And then I have the pencil marking on the top side. And then this is, oh yeah, I need 2 more of these because this shape is also, D20 is not only the tulip but also the leaves, which I forgot. So let me draw 2 more of those. I'll have to get another piece out. And then when you get done making your pieces, you can use the Sue Daily glue to glue them on, or you can use pins. I do a combination depending on how big it is. If I think I'm going to get poked with a pin, then I'll use the glue. Okay, I need 1 more. Let me get another piece. This. And don't be afraid of applique. Like I've done a couple things that are applique, but not a lot. But wanted to do more because I like the hand stitch. I like to hand stitch the applique. Like when I'm watching TV at night, it helps me to wind down. Um, so I like that. You can certainly use your sewing machine to applique. And you don't have to be an expert. Like, this is very forgiving. Don't be afraid. Give it a try. If you like, I also crochet, so I like to use my hands. So I like to do the hand applique. Okay. All right. So again, I don't have, this is my leaf. I'm just going to put this on top of, mine match, my sizes don't match because I just quick cut it. That's no big deal. Because you're going to just sew right on the line, and then I'll show you, we trim it and then we flip it out inside out. And it's really neat. It's fun. Okay. And then just my top part of my tulip. And on her blog, she did some running stitches on the top part of the tulip leaf. And I think she also does it on the leaves, which I am going to do. So when I stitch, before I stitch them together, I'll run a running stitch through it around to just kind of give it a little outline and a little depth, I guess, or more dimension. All right, so now I'm going to sew. I'm just going to start at the top of my fabric and sew down to the line and then pivot and start sewing on the line. And I'm using an open toe foot so I can see the line and see where I'm going. And that's why I like using a smaller stitch, so you can hit those corners good. And some shapes are a little harder to sew because if they've if they are if they have curves, I'm not very good at that, so it takes me a while to do that. Straight lines I can do. And then if you go past your line, just back it up. Yeah, and I should have stated where it was. No one's going to know. And then you're going to sew all the way across, and you're going to go across your previous stitches where you started. It's just to set your stitch. And then I'm going to turn it, pivot, and go off and just start my next one. And not break my thread, so I save thread. You don't want to start in a corner. Try and start in the middle, or whatever side. And I'm going to try and snip this guy off so he's not in my way. And you just follow the little line all the way around. This I'll be a little slower at because it's got a curve. And if you need to stop and pivot a little bit, it's pretty forgiving, the shapes. At least that's been my experience. Do you like to pull on my fabric a little bit? It tends to bunch a little bit underneath, so I just want to make sure I have a flat surface. That's just me. I'm pivoting a little bit. edge off and start my next one. Now I have my interfacing sewn onto all my fabric using the simple shapes. And now you want a sharp set of scissors, and you're going to cut about 1/4 of an inch around the outside. We don't have any. Sometimes if you have concave, if you have an inner circle, you need to snip around the edges a little bit to give the fabric a little give when you flip it out inside out, but we don't have any of those today. So we're just going to cut. I do a little less than 1/4 inch. It just saves on the bulk on the inside. Now we'll do the leaves. Again, I'm pulling the fabric away from the interfacing, making a small slit in the interfacing. Then I'm kind of pulling it back together, going inside the hole that slit made, my scissors, and I'm cutting a little bit more of the interfacing up, down, to the sides. I'm going to trim my little corners. And then I'm just going to turn it inside out. And for those of you that have fingernails, that will be very handy. I don't have them, so I use my pokey tool. And I'm just kind of rolling it to make sure we have the fabric, as shaped as well as we can. You can feel if there's a bulk of fabric in there you need to pull out. Look how pretty that is. With that gold in it. Isn't that pretty? So pretty. Okay, and there's one leaf. We'll do the next leaf. So we have our second leaf, and because it's Batiks, it's the same fabric, but they're so different. I love it. Okay, the last piece we have is the underside of the tulip. Now I'm going to I'm going to move my sewing machine over without knocking anything over, hopefully. Okay. It's over here. Not a mess. Okay, now I'm going to take our, almost lost that. I'm taking our background fabric, which is 6.5 by 12. And you can't really see it because it's white. Let me put my cutting board down so you can see the fabric. Okay. And I'm going to fold it in half so I know where the center line is. And I'm going to iron it. I just want a little line so I know where the center is. Okay. And then we're going to position our tulip. And I don't like this corner, so I'm going to poke it a little bit. And she does give you directions of like where to place it, but here is that 5/8 inch, and then I put it through one of the bias tape makers. This doesn't, if you're not going to curve this, if you're just going to use it for straight stems, it doesn't have to be cut on the bias. You can just cut a plain strip. I think it was 5/8 inch, and then feed it through these bias tape makers, and it does this folding for you, and you iron. So you put your fabric in and you poke it out the edge, you pull it and iron as you're pulling, and it folds it, and you don't burn your fingers or anything. It's wonderful. So we don't need this whole piece of thing. I'm just going to place this and show you what it's going to look like. We have this also went through the bias maker. I do want to fold over my edge. So I don't want any unfinished edges. You can fiddle with that. And that's going to go on the top. So I'm going to cut it about here, give myself a little leeway. And I have this extra, save that, you can use that for something else. Not straight. I'm going to fold this over and iron it. I don't like how that one is, so I'm just going to fold it in a little bit. I didn't like it peeking out. I need to iron this guy. Okay. So we know right where the stem's going to go down the center line. You're going to place your pot about 1 inch above the bottom. You can place your, and I like to place everything first before I pin or glue. Then this is the underside of your tulip. probably just take a little ruler and measure. I'm about an inch. And I'm probably just going to pin this. Okay. And we have our little cuff of the pot. So cute. I'm going to pin that. I need to cut this. Oh, geez, it's all the way down there. We don't need that much stem. You do want to put a little part of your stem under the other piece. Just so you don't have a, because you don't have a finished edge there and you don't have to fold it over. You can tuck it underneath another one of your finished pieces. Okay. I want him to be, okay, so we can cut this guy about here. We'll have a little extra in case you need that. Keep all your little pieces. You never know when you're going to need them. About this. Be as creative as you want to be. So there is the tulip block. And then I'll applique this on. Now I am going to do a running stitch on the outside, on the inside of this piece before I applique it down, just to give it a little more dimension. You can do that with the leaves, but I think this is dark enough you won't really see it. Isn't it adorable? So I will hand applique this one, and I will show you the finished product next week. And here's the flag from the first week, and then the tulip from the second week. So adorable. And next week will be the pinwheels. So next week will be the pinwheels, and that will be just piecing. So that'll go really fast. I might start the next ones, which are going to be churn dash. So what I'll probably do going forward is show you the items of what I'm going to do, sew it, but I'll put it on super speed so you don't have to watch me do everything, and then show you the final product. So that's it for today. Thank you. I am going to go and hand sew now, and I do have to work on my Cotton Cuts mystery quilt. I do want to piece that together today, and I'll have a link down below to Lori Holt's blog. So if you want to get all the information, she has it still on her blog. It's for free. It's for everyone. And I will also link to her Etsy shop where she sells the pieces, the So Simple shapes, and her interfacing, because they're fun. So that's all I have. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.